Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this is going to be my Doctor Who episode 5 video. We finally found out who Maisie Williams is playing. We find out why the Doctor's face looks exactly like the character that Capaldi played during series 4 in the Fires of Pompeii. And I think they're laying seeds for something really special to happen later on if the opportunity presents itself. So let's get going. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, and new round of the Doctor Who giveaway starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So let's start with top 5, just, biggest one first. Meet Maisie Williams, playing a Shielder, not a Time Lord, but functionally immortal by the end of the episode. I'm sure this will totally not end badly. The reason why this is so exciting, not only because of that weird look that she has at the end, as that montage is happening, she slowly comes to the realization of this new philosophy that presumably we'll find out about in the next episode. Technically, it's not a two-parter, but because her story is carrying into the next episode, I'm thinking of it as a two-parter. There were so many things that were being teased about her character, just like the offhanded dialogue that the Doctor had, premonitions, just remembering in the wrong direction. You start to get the idea that she's having this sort of River Song type arc, where she's remembering things in the wrong direction. River Song and the Doctor's timelines move in opposite directions. But really, it just leads into the idea of her becoming immortal in the cyclical nature of time. Of events repeating themselves over large periods of time. And you have to appreciate the way they weave that in really nicely with the idea of storytelling, the roles that stories play in mythic culture. Maisie's character explains she makes puppets to make up stories when people go away to hopefully bring them back, to try and change the story, tell a story to bring a favorable outcome. That's something that people still do today, but because this is Doctor Who, and the way Doctor Who plays with reincarnation, regeneration, you think that there's some weird aspect to this, maybe she has magical powers of some kind. Now that turns out to not be the case. Really the only special ability she has now is that chip will never stop repairing her body, which kind of makes it like Dalek technology, although it's from the Maya. So hopefully she's not going to wind up looking like the Daleks in this sewer here, or like the face of Bo, where she just keeps going on and on and on until something really terrible happens to her body, but she can't die. The Doctor has that speech at the end, mostly to explain why he gave the second chip to her, so that she could have a companion of her own. But it also sounds a little sinister too, living forever is more of a curse than it is a blessing. Maybe in helping her, he actually made things worse. But on to number 4 though, meet the Maya, Doctor Who's newest race of monsters. If the Odin character looked familiar, it's because he looks a lot like Brian Blessed from Flash. He played the Prince of the Valkyries. There were a lot of funny in-jokes in this too, especially the Benny Hill stuff. All it needed was a Benny Hill theme, and then they actually played the Benny Hill theme in the episode. That was even funnier to me. But as it's explained in the episode, their race just goes around strafing cultures, trying to extract chemicals from the finest warriors. But in a funny way, they do the exact same thing that Maisie Williams' character does. They tell a story to try and bring a favorable outcome. They're just play acting something specific to that Viking culture. So if they went to another planet, that Odin character would co-opt some character from that other race's culture. Did anybody else think of Anthony Hopkins' version of Odin in the Thor movies whenever the Doctor was making the joke about the yo-yo? See, look at him, he can't be Odin, he doesn't even have a yo-yo. Somebody tell Kevin Feige and Marvel that they've been leaving the yo-yo bits out of the Thor movies. On to number 3 though, babies are the finest poets on Doctor Who. Of course the Doctor speaks baby, no surprise there, and of course the baby is the most eloquent, poetic person in the narrative. That's a very philosophical Doctor-type moment, where the Doctor waxes on how the most innocent things can be the most beautiful things. Babies are pure because they haven't been corrupted yet. That's a very common theme across a lot of literature. Children are the most intelligent people. But on to number 2, the Doctor remembers why he chose this face. Huge reveal that I felt was very important. It's going to go down as a very important moment in Capaldi's run, however long it goes on. But I don't like the way they used it. I was really kind of hoping that he would have chosen this face as part of this prophecy of the hybrid, or some much more complex part of the plot line. But it turns out to be this really general thing, I'm the Doctor and I save people. Really, the writers could have used any small moment to make the Doctor realize that. You guys can let me know in the comments though, do you feel like they wasted the mystery of the Doctor's face on this very generic type of reveal? It's a really great character moment for the Doctor. I feel like the face reveal was a missed opportunity. They could have used it for something even bigger. But finally, onto my number 1 WTF moment, Maisie Williams becomes a hybrid. Here's the really important thing about this that we need to talk about. Does this have anything to do with Davros's prophecy of the hybrid? There was a prophecy on Gallifrey that Davros referred to, maybe Maisie Williams is that hybrid. I feel like that would be amazing because the Doctor made it sound like this prophecy is the most terrible thing ever, like this hybrid must never come to exist. Hybrid Maisie Williams also works with the metaphor too. Back in the Davros episodes, Missy said each of us is a hybrid. She was speaking about the balance between enemies and friends, like the hybrid between an enemy and a friend. But I do feel like even if you haven't been completely satisfied with the Doctor Who stories in Series 9, they've done a really good job of presenting this hybrid theme across all the episodes. So we still have 7 episodes left, not including the Christmas special. We need to see like how this hybrid theme spreads across the rest of the season. But here's another big question for you guys. Like, what did you think about the way they used previous Doctor Who ideas in this episode? Like, did you enjoy seeing David Tennant and all of his companions? It's always fun to see them use clips from old episodes. They've used a lot of audio from classic Who, and now they used a lot of video from new Who episodes. Used sparingly can be really awesome. I think if they do it too much, like if they do this every single episode, then it'll get a little bit old. But the big thing to walk away from this episode is in wondering if the Doctor created a tidal wave change in time. You know, he said it's okay to make ripples, but we're time travelers, we can't make waves. So I'm just gonna move into Easter eggs now. If there are any that you guys see that I don't end up mentioning, just write them below in the comments. The 2,000-year-old diary comes out. Now the second Doctor had a diary, but it was only like a 500-year-old diary. So they're just like slowly upgrading it. Hopefully we'll see a 3,000-year-old diary at some point. I mean, I'd like to believe Doctor Who can last that long. Good Man Goes to War was the first time we heard the Doctor speak baby. That was Matt Smith's Doctor, which was funny because everyone called him the baby Doctor because he was so young. The Doctor says reverse the polarity of the neutron flow right out of the third Doctor. There's been so much Capaldi that's gone back to the third Doctor, so many references to the first 3 Doctors just in general. And there's actually been a bunch of episodes where the Doctor's gotten into sword fights. There's Sea Devils, the Mask of Mandragora, the Androids of Tara, and the King's Demons. I really like the nod that he gave to Clara when she raised her hand too, like, oh yeah, you've been traveling with me, of course you use a sword at some point. One of the most fun things about Doctor Who is the adventures that we don't see. Like when they opened the episode, they were talking about saving the Philosians. That's a whole adventure that we'll probably never see. Like you just have to conjure things up in your imagination as they talk about them. I guess that's really where like the Big Finish stuff comes in, where the audio dramas come in to fill those gaps. Speaking of which, I think I may have mentioned it in my last Doctor Who video, but just in case I didn't, they're actually making audio dramas for the War Doctor, John Hurt's War Doctor. So if you ever wanted to hear a bunch of War Doctor stories, like full-blown stories, they're going to be making that box set real soon. So don't forget, next week, kind of part 2 of this episode. Technically, it's not a 2-parter, but Maisie Williams is back playing the same character, and it's like a continuation of this story. So be sure to subscribe to get that video. And that reminds me, congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Pancake Power. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Just be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. In slightly related news, there's actually been a bunch of Game of Thrones news the last day or so I might do that video next and then do my Flash Arrow Q&A. So just stay tuned for all that stuff. While you guys wait, you can click here for all my Doctor Who Series 9 videos. And in case you missed it, I actually posted the Game of Thrones New York Comic Con panel from last week. You can click here to watch that. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.